That's right.
Right.
If you're too rude about the wedding, I'm going to pour this confetti over your head. Don't think that I won't.
I'm not being rude about it. It's just when they were planning it, you don't think they could have gone, Fridays? No, that's entertainment. What happened was a bunch of people went on the internet and looked, and they could see on the internet you and me discussing Thor by Kenneth Branagh, but not hearing us. So what they could hear was, and coming up the mall now is...
Richard Bacon doesn't sound anything like
Lord
that.
Chumley Smidley Bongdinong, and following him, the Lady Blutherington Blong of Cardiff, and don't they look lovely? And that...
Hugh Edwards
and Elton John
will be very, very concerned.
If I go back to the Radio 5 Live website and I turn the volume on, this is what you're getting on Radio 5. No, you're getting you and me, but you're getting this.
Yeah, well,
that's no good at all, is it? That's not what we want.
Well, it is what the nation
wants.
It's
what the nation wants, but it's not what we want right now.
What we want.
No.
What we really, really want. So the top 10 this week have Limitless at number 10.
Which has done much better than anybody expected. I think it's good fun. It was certainly better than I had expected. It's a good lead role for Bradley Cooper. It's a sort of Twilight Zone style science fiction story. Just about stretched to breaking point, but it just about manages to hold it together. Small cameo appearance by Robert De Niro, and more fun than I thought it was going to be.
TT3D Closer to the Edge at number 9.
You see, now I'm really interested in this. Now, the first thing I have to say is I saw TT3D in 2D because they were finishing the 3D on it.
But was it still called TT3D?
It was called Closer to the Edge in the print that I saw, although I think the official title is Closer to the Edge TT3D.
Yeah, Closer to the Edge is on the posters.
Yeah, but I think it also says in small writing TT3D. Because and obviously, I mean, I was interested in this anyway because I have a family connection with the Isle of Man, and the TT, as I'm sure you know, is this incredibly dangerous race which is run on island roads, people going at unbelievably high speeds, and invariably there are accidents, and quite often there is loss of life. And I'm not a sports fan, and I'm not a motorbike racing fan, but in the version of TT3D that I saw in 2D, I thought it was a really interesting documentary, not only because many of the characters are so fascinating and interesting, but because the documentary seemed to be about something, and it's about that issue about whether or what right people have to risk their lives in the pursuit of something which others may find completely absurd. And I was really engrossed by it. I found when I was watching it, I became very, very anxious. It's not like thrill of the minute, oh fantastic, how exciting. It's like, blimey, I hope everyone gets out of this okay. And I thought it was a very well done documentary and a really good piece of filmmaking. As I said, I didn't see it in 3D, and frankly, having seen it in 2D, I did not need to see it in 3D. I know for a fact that the 3D stuff wouldn't have been mounted on the front of a bike, because you can't do 3D photography, as far as I understand, from the front of a bike, because the bike shakes too much and you simply can't do it. So the 3D stuff would have been, the ground-mounted stuff anyway. But 2D, it didn't need to be 3D for me.
And we've been sent some fancy doodah 3D glasses in posh cases.
Yeah, well, apparently they are. Have you got it there?
No.
So they are fancy doodah. They're meant to improve the 3D experience, largely, I suppose, by not having been worn by 25 other sets of people with greasy hands who've stuck their fingers all over the 3D lens. I mean, obviously, the 3D experience can be massively improved by watching in 2D, or of course, watching using the 2D glasses, which my friend Simon Miller came up with a year ago or so. He gave me for a present. He gave me these glasses that convert 3D films into 2D films. As everyone who's been twittering me recently has pointed out, somebody is now actually marketing these as 2D glasses. And I got a text from Simon Miller the other day saying, I could have been a millionaire, but it's very simple.
You must go on a great
length about 3D.
That, and tell us what you really think. Yeah, okay. Source code is at 8.
Which I like very much. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not... Oh, thank you, David. David has just brought in the...
Who's David?
You know who David is. This comes
up
every week, right? So that's apparently meant... Put them on.
Okay, well, this is a treat for the online
viewers who can't hear what you're doing anyway. Yeah, so it's just a pair of 3D spectacles. It's meant,
I don't even know if the camera's on. Is it on?
Let me look at the website and see whether it's on. Hang on, Bredio. Yes, it's on me at the moment. So yes, there you are. You're wearing the science fiction glasses. Good. So the next time you go and see a 3D film, watch them in that and tell me whether you might think it's any better. I imagine it won't be much difference, but who knows?
Anyway, source code is what you were talking about.
Yeah, I like it very much. A lot of discussion about whether or not the ending is compromised. I think actually the ending does quite a good job of both keeping the crowd happy but also keeping its options open. I think it's more intelligent than people are giving it credit for. I also think Duncan Jones is a very, very fine filmmaker, and good for him for making something so smart and demonstrating once again that big blockbuster entertainment can be really intelligent.
Red Riding Hood is at number 7.
Yeah, and it's funny because Catherine Hardwicke came on the show. We both liked Twilight. I think we both had the same feeling about Red Riding Hood. I think I may have been less enthusiastic about it than you were. I think the main problem with Red Riding Hood is that it misses almost all the moments that I really want. See, there are several adaptations of Red Riding Hood. Cinema is littered with them, and watching this, I thought, why isn't it Company of Wolves? Why isn't it The Village? Why isn't it Freeway? Why isn't it Hard Candy? Why doesn't it have the resonance of any of those things? I mean, it did feel terribly clunky to me. I mean, there are things in it that I think are handled at best okay. But didn't you feel it was awfully creaky and pantomime? I didn't think it's a 1-star film, but it's a 2 or 3 at very, very tops.
I just wondered if given the market that Catherine Hardwicke goes for, whether it's that whole thing but aimed at a 13-year-old, and therefore we felt excluded from it, because clearly everyone looks beautiful, like Max Irons when he came in. I mean,
but I like Twilight. And I liked it. That's aimed at the same market. I mean, actually, one of the things with it is it's Twilight Light. I mean, that it really did feel like Twilight Light. It felt like it didn't have any of the substance or the depth or just the sheer cinematic enjoyment of the Twilight movies. Didn't you think that?
Yeah, it was a bit feeble, but I kind of enjoyed it, and I thought, I don't think this is aimed at me. On the plus side, I didn't work out who the werewolf was.
No, okay,
because it becomes a who is it kind of kind of film.
There was.
I just got irritated by Max Irons not wearing a coat.
Yes, that was. You did want him to cover up. There was one particularly harsh review of it which said it makes you long for the stark realism of M. Night Shyamalan's The Village.
Right, damned indeed. So
I like The Village, actually.
Hops at 6,
which is just utter rubbish, just annoying Easter. Now, of course, it's out of date Easter animation stuff, so that should be leaving the charts very, very soon.
Have you seen The Kiss yet, by the way?
The Kiss?
Yes.
What Kiss?
The Kiss on the Balcony.
Oh, you mean the Royals? You mean that?
Yeah.
No.
I just wonder whether you've seen it or not.
No.
If it comes up while we're talking,
I don't want to know.
Would you like to?
What? It's 2 people kissing.
Yeah, but on a balcony.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. Hooray. I did see Evita once. That had some people on a balcony.
Did you bring in your barricade, by the way, your Trotskyist barricade?
Then comrades come. No.
Okay, so Beastly's at number 5.
Okay, which I haven't seen, but because I've been off for 2 weeks, as have you, but we asked for some Twitter reviews, and you got some.
Well, yeah, but I only got one on Beastly, which was another one of those self-reviewing film titles. That was pretty much it.
Okay, somebody tweeted Ghastly.
Okay, well, as you saw it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Scream 4 is at 4. Now, we've got quite a lot on this. Neil Brown in South Bank in Melbourne. Simon and Mark, you know that feeling when you leave your house and think you've forgotten something.
Yeah.
Then about a second later, you realise that you haven't? That is scarier than Scream 4.
Oh, really?
Yours sincerely, Neil Brown. Tom Wade.
That's a disappointment.
Teacher of philosophy.
Tom Waits for No Man?
Tom Wade.
Oh, Tom Wade. Tom Wade's for No Man.
Then, 2, the newly crowned Doctors of Cambridge. That's us. I went to see Scream 4 last week. I was down of the first 2, lost a lot of enthusiasm for the third, felt that the fourth was unnecessary. However, there are some redeeming qualities. The opening has many witty references to the various horror franchises that have happened since the original trilogy, and take a few pop shots at the horror porn style.
Okay.
After that, it's all very by-the-numbers slasher. Of the new characters, the only one to stand out is Hayden Panettiere, and so it ends up relying on the original cast to pull it through. Characters that no one cares about are killed off quickly, and the audience spends the whole time waiting for the reveal of the killer. When it happens, it's probably the best twist of the series, but then things take another half hour to conclude, which soils things further. Scream keeps reminding everyone that the killer is rebooting the franchise. However, things end up more of a blunt knife than a successful stab, says Tom.
Good review. He didn't tweet that, did he? Tweet that? That must have been more than 140 characters.
You spotted that.
Okay,
it's an old-fashioned email.
Okay, fine.
Aid Bradley, avoiding the royal wedding in Stanmore, says, I went to see Scream on the day of release. Whilst not a super fan, I'd always enjoyed the first 2. This film was a real disappointment. I know it's supposed to be self-referential and satirical, but this took up its own posterior to new levels. The references to Courtney Cox and David Arquette's marriage was particularly groan-worthy, as was the explanation of the word meta. Yes, we get you're supposed to be postmodern, but the main problem was the predictability of the plot. It was just too obvious who was involved from pretty early on, and I'm not surprised they're ruling out Scream 5.
Okay. I mean, I have to say, I really liked the first Scream, and I felt that since then everything else was we didn't need any more. I thought the first Scream was great, and it was really funny how fast. If you're interested in slasher movies, tonight I'm doing this thing on stage at the NFT with Kim Newman, who wrote that book Nightmare Movies. He was on the show last week. It is funny how if you're interested in slasher movies, that moment when Scream did that kind of the postmodern reinvention of them was very, very quickly passed by just, oh yeah, we're just back to old-style slasher movies again. It was I don't care what you did last summer. It was very odd how fast the moment passed.
We had this on Arthur, which is a new entry at number 3.
And all I have to say about Arthur, I haven't seen the new version. I really like the original Dudley Moore Arthur. I have seen that loads of times, and every time it makes me funny. Him falling out the car, him saying she's the princess of a very small island, so small, it's smaller than it would beat the crap out of Manhattan in a war. Last year they got the whole place carpeted. I mean, that was a funny film.
Good, thanks for that. Arthur's at number 3, and this on Twitter from Beth Marshall.
On the remake.
Yes, obviously. Arthur, who would fancy a guy who still has a nanny? Brand is Brand, no acting, it's got 5 laughs, and Helen Mirren has all of them.
That's a real shame, because the first one's got loads of laughs.
Rio's at number 2.
Which, I mean, the most interesting thing about it is that the background looks pretty, the scenery stuff looks quite well done. Of course, its director does actually know that area, and the CG is done rather well. It's a fairly forgettable story.
I saw it in 2D.
Oh, fine.
With Child 3.
Better, brighter, clearer.
Aged 11. And what was really annoying was all the sequences that were clearly meant to be 3D, seen in 3D.
Yeah.
And which were just lingered over with something dangling right in front of you. Thinking, okay, but I'm watching it in 2D, so don't do that.
No, I know, but even when you watch those things in 3D, you think, yeah, it's dangling. Can you get on with it now, please?
Talou on this says, Simon, I've just got home after watching Rio 3D with my dad, sister and nephew as an Easter weekend treat. We loved it. And, because we're extrovert scousers, broke into dance and full-on shoulder shimmying as we left the cinema. The music in this movie is great, and the misty-eyed good feeling it evoked almost on a par with Enchanted, which is one of the best kids' movies in recent years.
Yeah, I loved Enchanted.
However, even my papa agreed. No need for 3D at all, considering that to date Dr. K's advice has been... doesn't make sense, does it? For some serious high royal... OK, we'll leave it there. Anyway, Talou says it's, so they've had a great time. And if you're an extrovert scouser, you don't need 3D, but it's shoulder shimmying fun.
OK. Somebody is asking on Twitter if anyone out there knows how to lip read and type really fast. They could do a written translation.
What they need is all the people who can lip read and were watching the royal wedding this morning, and they were all tweeting because they worked out what Prince William was saying to Catherine.
Oh, right.
While they were standing at the altar. And
was he saying, what do you think of 3D?
No, apparently he was saying, you look beautiful, or, something like that. So what we need is that kind of level of examination so that people know what's going on. Yeah. Other than that, it's a real waste of time.
OK, how about this? Look.
We should leave it there. A fine moment of radio, that was. And the UK's number 1 is Fast and Furious 5.
Go on.
Well, all the reviews that I've seen have been fantastically positive.
Really? Are they being sent in by the film company? Or is it actually maybe a fantastically positive film? I don't know and can't pass judgment because I haven't seen it.
Graham Russell says, really enjoyed it. Nice little digs. I know this is a Scream review. Nice little digs at some of the new films, whilst not taking itself too seriously.
Okay.
Best laughs in the first 5 minutes. No really good scares. That's still on Scream 4.
OK.
OK, so this is an email from Dr. Shane Sullivan.
Okay.
Having watched all the decent offerings at the local independent cinema and the few good films at the local World of Cine, I allowed myself to be talked into seeing Fast 5. I noticed that it had received some rather promising reviews and was highly rated on IMDb and other places. It is an unqualified triumph. Vin Diesel proves once again that he's the finest comedic actor of his generation. It is a long time since I laughed so loud and hard at the cinema. Fast 5 is without doubt the funniest movie of the year. It is a wonderful and insightful spoof of the action genre. The writing, direction and acting, impeccable. It allowed the actors to pretend to be so wooden that they were in need of another coat of varnish. The plot was made to look wafer thin. Many of the actions wafer thin. Many of the actions of the characters made little or no sense. As a spoof of and homage to this genre, the plot and the characters' actions hung together as well as a wallpaper made of soup. All in all, a triumph. It has been argued that spoof movies may have dumbed down since the output of the Wayans. This movie demonstrates that the spoof movie is alive and well.
Very good.
Does that count as a kind of a
that's fine.
endorsement?
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
tongue firmly in cheek.